Rishi Sunak says his patience has run out when it comes to stopping the boats as he prepares to face a showdown vote on his flagship Rwanda plan next week.
Yeah, the PM's premiership has been rocked by the resignation of the Immigration Minister, Robert Jenrick. And since then, the government has divided his role into two. Michael Tomlinson appointed for Minister for Illegal Migration and Tom Pursglove becoming Minister for Legal Migration. And he joins us now this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, nice to see you.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your new job. You've been announced as the Minister for Legal Migration yesterday. Of course, we know that Robert Jenrick stepped down on Wednesday from his role. I mean, he said that the Rishi Sunak's new Rwanda legislation doesn't go far enough to tackle illegal immigration, and it's a triumph of hope over experience. You obviously think he's wrong.
Well, I have huge respect and admiration for Rob, who I think worked tirelessly as Minister of State for Immigration. He is a valued colleague and I completely respect his opinion, but I respectfully disagree with him too. And I think that this is the most significant piece of illegal migration legislation that has ever been brought forward by any government. It's really noteworthy that Lord Sumption, who is very respected in the legal field, has said that he thinks that this will do the job. And what it does is it closes off the grounds of appeal that we have so often seen used to frustrate removal from the UK to Rwanda, and will allow Parliament to state and assert its position that Rwanda is a safe country to help us to get this partnership off the ground. And I think that is exactly what the British people want to see to get this thing moving and take progress.
You cited someone who does think it works, but there's many, of course, that don't. Some who don't think it's extreme enough, some who are concerned on the more centralist side of things that it isn't right and it may infringe, international law. Mr. Jenrick said he didn't want to be another politician who promises to deliver to the people of this country on immigration and then doesn't. Are you in any way concerned that on day two you might end up being that politician?
I'm determined to see through the promises that we have made. On doorsteps, we hear all the time people wanting us to take action on this issue. The Prime Minister has said that he would do whatever it takes to make this work, and that's precisely what we are doing by bringing forward this legislation to Parliament for it to consider. And what I hope is that colleagues from across the House will get in behind this, because what is not acceptable...
That's hope, though, isn't it? That's exactly what Mr. Jenrick said it was all about. No, it's hope, and there doesn't seem to be any evidence that they will.
There is a credible plan here that responds to the issues that the Supreme Court raised in its earlier judgment. Those have been dealt with. And this will assert from Parliament that Rwanda is a safe country and get around this constant merry-go-round of claims that are often brought to try and frustrate removal. And the PM has said we will do whatever is necessary to deliver on this partnership.
I mean, you mentioned Lord Sumption saying that he believes it will work. There are a number of legal professionals who don't think it will work. Can I just double-check? There is still the opportunity in this bill. It still allows migrants to challenge against their individual removal. Those individual challenges are still going to be able to be made. And if that's the case, that's going to bog this down in legalities, and it's going to keep those flights from taking off. That's still part of the bill, isn't it?
It is extremely narrow.
But it's still part of the bill. They will still be able to challenge their removal.
And the fact is here that the Rwandans have been very clear as well that we must abide by our international obligations. They're right to say that. And the truth is that you could potentially end up in a situation where you have a bill pass into law and then no country to remove people to. That is not a credible position. That is not somewhere that we can get to.
No, I don't think anyone's suggesting that's a good alternative. I think we're looking at, though, what's being proposed now. And it is true, isn't it, that if an individual doesn't feel that they want to be deported to Rwanda, which we have no evidence of those seeking asylum and seeking a position here in the UK want that, they can challenge it.
Only in very, very, very compelling circumstances would that be applicable. It is exceptionally narrow for exceptional circumstances, for example, where it would be very unsafe for an individual, for example, to be removed to Rwanda in their view. And so I am confident that taken as a whole, the package of measures that we are advancing through this bill is the right package to unlock the partnership, to address and deal with, which the treaty does as well, the outstanding issues that the Supreme Court raised, and that will help us to bring this partnership to life and begin those relocation flights. And crucially, making sure that we get under better control that day-to-day spend in the asylum system, nearly £8 million a day, is completely unsustainable and will only increase, and save lives in the sea. We cannot have people making these crossings run by organised criminal gangs.
Let's talk about when it's going to happen then. The new bill, can you guarantee it's going to get through before Christmas? I mean, Tobias Ellwood has described this as ripping the party in half, this bill. It certainly needs to be done. Is your expectation that it will be passed before Christmas?
I think, of course, you've got to have consideration in both houses of Parliament, and that does take some time. The business managers will come forward, the whips and the Leader of the House will come forward in terms of setting out a timetable by which we will seek to do this. But what we're saying is that we want to deliver.
Of that, then? When would you like to see that delivered?
So I want to see this legislation delivered as quickly as possible.
So before
Christmas?
Of
course, the Prime Minister has said that what we want to do is to get flights away to Rwanda as soon as we can as well.
We've heard
and
from
do
him,
so
but
by
what
the spring.
about... We know his ambition. He's been talking about it for a long time now, hasn't he? The problem is delivering on it. Do you think there's any chance of it getting through the House of Lords?
I hope that parliamentarians will respond properly to the genuine concerns that people...
Hope, which is exactly what Mr Jenrick said was the position. You have to hope that it will be backed.
I would also expect that parliamentarians in both houses will recognise the critical importance of this, that they'll recognise that the fact that too many lives have been lost in the Channel as a result of these crossings, that jeopardy is there every single day with criminal gangs taking people's money, putting their lives at risk, putting them in boats, sending them to the UK. That cannot continue. And this is such an important part of the response to dealing with that issue. And so it's not acceptable, actually, for parliamentarians on any side to complain about this issue, to say that it's unacceptable, and to then not get in and back measures that will help to end that senseless loss of life that we've seen, as well as getting these costs under control.
OK, we're going to have to leave it there, Mr Pursglove, but thank you very much for joining us this morning.